Disability means, in simple words, inability to be able to perform such actions and functions which an average person can do. For instance, if a person cannot see or he cannot hear, then he's got a disability related to the senses of vision or hearing. To some extent, we are all disabled. For instance, I am wearing spectacles, and without that, I cannot see as well as some of our other friends can do. But then, this means that spectacles have remedied my deficiency of eyesight. So it has not been allowed to become a handicap. So this is a very good example of how a disability or a potential disability can be taken care of and not allowed to become a handicap. This has to be ultimately our objective while dealing with people who have any form of disability. If all types of disabilities are totaled up, almost 10% of children will be found to have some disability or the other. 2% roughly may have mental retardation, another 2% may have something like deafness or hardness of hearing. Then there are children who have spasticity and cerebral palsy, and many others have learning disorders and newer items like autism. They are being diagnosed more and more often. The developing societies or underprivileged societies have a far higher prevalence rate of disabilities compared to developed societies. And the reason for that is a higher accident rate at births. The children born are underweight, they are more prone to brain damage, their deliveries are conducted under very inexpert conditions with untrained dyes in attendance at labor, and as a result the children's brain gets anoxia because the child cannot breathe at birth, and that leads to brain damage. Then we have a higher prevalence rate of infections, we have a higher prevalence rate of nutritional deficiencies like iodine, for instance, which leads on to goiter and thyroid deficiency syndromes. We have vitamin A deficiency, which can lead on to melting of the cornea and total blindness. Now these kinds of things and infections like leprosy, which have been taken care of totally in the European countries, are still very much in existence in India and contribute their load to causation of disabilities. In the adults, we have a very high accident rate, both at work as well as on the roadside, and these lead on to severe disabilities. In Punjab, in the agricultural sector, we often find that the hay choppers chop off the arms of poor laborers who are working at them. So these are some of the reasons why I am quite sure that disability rates in India are far higher than in the West. It's very important that a child is examined carefully in the first year of life to see the rate of progress as far as his development is concerned. And in development, we wish to examine all the areas of his development, like personal, social, visual, motor coordination, and hearing and speech. all these abilities which the child has to acquire in the first 18 months or so can be assessed fairly accurately by a trained person in the first few months of life. And therefore, parents must keep on comparing their children with other children of similar age to see as to how far their child is able to do what other children are able to do. It is tragic indeed that very often we get children who have been delayed for a long time. For instance, a child with hearing defect or deficiency may not be able to speak, and the child is brought to us at the age of 2 years with the complaint that our child cannot speak. Well, he cannot speak because he cannot hear, and therefore if a hearing examination had been done, a diagnosis could have been made in the first 3 months of life and a hearing aid provided to him as early as that. That would have prevented the delay in the speech that the parents are now complaining of. I can only say forcefully that time lost can never be regained, and particularly time lost for a disabled child leaves him that much slower and behind for many years. It will take him many years to make up that time. And the same is true for spastics. If you bring him into the clinic early, he can be cured earlier. And therefore, I would urge parents that as soon as they find any such symptom in their child which gives them the clue that child is not developing at the normal rate, at the expected rate, then they should consult an expert in the area. But to be able to know that child is slower than anybody else, they have to know what to expect, and therefore a greater interest in child development and growth of the child in general would be a very useful thing for parents to learn. I would like to urge the parents of children who have some disability or the other that they should realize that they are the only hope and support of the child. If they lose their heart and feel discouraged, then the child will not get the benefit of effective treatment for the duration that he needs, because they are then prone to give up halfway. Therefore, persistence in treatment at a center where knowledgeable and experienced people are working in the disability field would be ideal, so that we can help the child to attain his potential. After all, parents of a normal child also are trying to do the same. They help the child to attain his potential. Our role as parents of disabled children are that that child should also attain his maximum potential, which he can, provided he gets the opportunity. As far as society is concerned, they can do two things. First of all, I don't think they should be doing what they are at present doing, which is talking to disabled people rather disparagingly or about them disparagingly or making disparaging remarks. This must be avoided. This is bad manners and shows an uncultivated mind. But what we need the society to do is to think about what can be done to help such people. And a lot can be done. Practically all over the world, it is non-governmental organizations which are doing most of the work in the field of disability. Even governmental organizations are taking the help of volunteers to render all the services. So this kind of atmosphere and attitude has to pervade in our society, and then only I think we will be able to give a better deal to our children with disabilities. I would like to say that people with disabilities are the weakest of the weak in our society, and a lot more needs to be done by the government and by non-governmental organizations to relieve their difficulties, so that their disabilities do not become handicaps to them in their aspirations, achievement of aspirations in their life. This must be realized that investment in disability is an investment in ability and productivity, because a person who would otherwise have been a burden to society can be made independent in his existence and productive. There are numerous examples of people who have contributed a lot to society and to business in spite of their severe handicaps, which would have totally frustrated anybody else with lesser willpower. But then they were fortunate to be born in a family where they got the support, and the family happened to have the means to educate and promote them. And this is something which the non-governmental organizations should take up. The government should create institutions. Unfortunately, at this moment, there is a great paucity of institutions which can take care of the problems that the handicapped people face. First of all, the diagnosis of disability, its total assessment, what are the needs as far as therapeutic aspects are concerned, and subsequently the rehabilitation of the person into society, into a vocation. These are very urgent needs. In spite of the Disability Act, very little is being done in our country at the moment, and much more needs to be done.
Very pleased to discuss about the disability, and the issue is so important that our late Prime Minister Shrimati Indira Gandhi in 1983 defined disability as the anguish which produces to the pain who is affected by the disability. It does not produce only anguish to the person who is suffering from disability, but to all the family members of the disabled person. And if you go ahead, it's not only the family which suffer from the disability, whole of the society and eventually the nation suffer from disability. But if we all work hard on the issue and we train these disabled person, there is a scope that we can make them a useful member of the society. This is what our late Prime Minister said about this. But if we consider technically that what disability is essentially the loss of functions or the impairment of the functions of the body with which the person is not able to perform his activity of daily living. When we talk about the activity of daily living, it matters to the self-care. For example, the person is not able to take care of himself. He may not be able to brush his teeth. He may not be able to clean himself. That is the activity of daily living. Simultaneously, he cannot participate socially. Yes, because he is not able to move, he cannot see, he will not be able to participate in the society itself. The most important issue among all these things in the disability is that if he is not able to earn his livelihood, that is, he is not able to economically viable for himself, for his family, for his society, the person is eventually disabled. So the main issue is because of the disability, if the person is not able to take care of himself, if he is socially inactive, and if he is not earning for himself or for his family, that is what the disability is. If we wish to plan something to eradicate disability, it is imperative that we must know the incidence of the disability existing in our country. But this is simultaneously, it is unfortunate that the only survey which has been done is in around 1981. And if you look into that survey, the locomotor disability is around 13.6 per thousand population. Hearing and speech loss is around 6.6 per thousand. Visual disabilities, they are 6.6 per thousand population, and the mental retardation is around 3 to 4 per thousand population. And there could be a combination of one or two disabilities, then we call it as multiple disabilities. Independence in 1947, but it's only in 1995 that the Parliament made an act known as Person with Disability Act 1995. It is under this act a program has been casted, that is National Program for Persons with Disability, with which we have a state source center. The responsibility of the state source center is that we train all the doctors in the region where this state source center is for the cause of disability. We must inform all the doctors, we must sensitize all these doctors for the disability. Even if a particular person is a basic doctor or a specialist, but it is desired that he must know what disability is. The subject doesn't stop here. If we wish to reach up to the disabled person, it is desired that we must talk the same issues with the paramedics. We must talk the same issue with some person, those who are moving in the society, and they are known as community-based rehabilitation workers. So in this state source center, we have trained the doctors of the city of Chandigarh, and simultaneously then we have trained all the paramedics in Chandigarh and community-based rehabilitation workers. These community-based rehabilitation workers, they are capable of identifying a disability at the doorstep of a disabled person. So this is one of the most important function of awareness as well as early detection of the disability at the doorstep. In addition to this, State Source Center is established in a tertiary care center. So all those persons, those who are disabled, they are brought by these community-based rehabilitation workers to the State Source Center, where the specialists of various specialties like orthopedics, ENT, eye, and psychiatry, they take care of the disability by treating the various causes for the disabilities. The other aspect of the State Source Center is that we must provide them the opportunity for rehabilitation so that they become a useful member of the society. For this, we have a various vocational programs going on. The person in the mental retardation, they are trained at site in the hospital, and then they are employed in various departments like CSSD, and they become a earning member of their family. If we discuss about the infrastructure for disability in our country and try to compare with the West, it is a pitiable situation in our country. I give you example of a patient who gets the replacement of the hip joint in Europe. The moment he reaches back at his home, the environment in the home is changed by the Social Security so that his toilets, they are newly designed so that he should be able to cope up with the different type of his disability and should be able to take care of his activity of daily living at home. That is the scene in the West, but in our country at present we are just aware that the persons with the disabilities, they need to be helped. I think we need to go a long way for the help of these disabled persons, but looking into the situation, we do not have a great number of rehabilitation centers or educational centers. These are required in each state, but at present we do not have. Mostly rehabilitation center and vocational center in our country. There are few schools like School for Blinds, and we have a Karna Southern in Chandigarh where deaf and dumb they are taken care. But when it comes to their real rehabilitation, the situation is very, very bleak. If we apply the general figures of the disability, the magnitude of disabled in our country is approximately 10%, and which I believe is very high figures. And government is a very small sector to take care of this disability. What I feel is, it is not only the government, all the NGOs and the society in general, they have to work hard to take care of the disability so that all these persons, those who are disabled, they should become the useful member of the society rather than parasite on the nation as well as on the society. So it is very, very important that NGOs like Rotaries, like Red Cross, like other associations which are existing in our society, they must work hard to take care of the disability. Citizens, that they must not consider disabled as destitute or a liability on themselves. They do not require your sympathy, they just require your help to stand in the society parallel to you and equal to you, and for that they need to be supported in terms of emotional support, a physical support, and then vocational training like that, so that they should be able to take care of themselves, they should be socially interactive, and they should have a economic independence. As one of the important activity of State Source Center, last year we did around 19 camps in the periphery of Union Territory of Chandigarh, in which we have identified more than 5,000 disabled. The door-to-door surveys in the sectors of Chandigarh is on, and by the end of June this year, we will be able to complete the survey of the total disabled person of Union Territory of Chandigarh.
There is a lot of confusion to know who is a mentally retarded child or a person, and this creates problem for all of us, because even for the parents it becomes very difficult to know whether the child is normal or the child is mentally retarded. A mentally retarded child or a person is one who has a limited intellectual capacity as compared to a normal person. It basically means that this person has limited power to understand things, to take decisions, and to carry forward. Let me here clarify that it is not an illness, it is a condition. Like all of us has different heights, different weight, different looks. So similarly, the God has given different level of understanding to different persons. Some people are genius, some people have a limited capacity, and some people have very low capacity to understand things. In terms of IQ, generally we take a person having less than 70 IQ is generally taken as a mentally retarded person. And then we have further subgroups, like person having 50 to 70 IQ, we say that they are mildly retarded. And the other group is 35 to 50, we say moderately retarded, 25 to 30, severely retarded, less than 20 is profoundly retarded. So this is what we say mental retardation. Here it's important to make a distinction between mental retardation and mental illness, because in the community sometimes these two terms are considered as same. Even our policymakers at times make a sort of error in that. Mentally challenged person, when we say it's a condition, it's not illness, that means this person had a limited capacity to understand from the very beginning. But the mental illness is basically this person had normal understanding, normal intelligence, but because of certain reasons later on he become mentally disturbed. So that's a mental illness, which is a treatable type of conditions. But mental retardation is not treatable. Briefly, let me tell you about the difficulties we as a professionals are facing in rehabilitating the mentally challenged persons. The most common difficulty we are facing is the attitude of the community. That includes even parents also. And the attitude has been that the mentally retarded persons are non-achievers. That means they cannot do anything. They are difficult to handle. They are destructive. They are violent. They are dependent on others. But most of these feelings, fears are not correct. While running this institute, let me quote it here that none of our child has ever slapped the other staff members. They are so lovely children, they are so easily manageable, provided you understand them. So this feeling in the community that it's very difficult to handle a mentally retarded person is totally unfounded. That's a misconception. That is the major difficulty, because sometimes even the employers will not accept a mentally retarded person. Once you say that he's trained, despite having the training, he will not be accepted in the community. The other difficulty is certain laid on requirement for each job. There the education qualification is most important, and these children cannot be provided the standard educations. That means they cannot go up to matriculate or a higher standard, so they will never be eligible for government job unless the recruitment rules are relaxed. So what we have to look for is basically sort of a self-employment or employment in a private setup. But again, I just told you that the attitude of the people there is quite negative about these persons. But I feel that after the training, a lot of these children can be meaningfully employed. So that is the other difficulty we face. Another important is that we do not have any training facilities, and it's a fact that it's just the 5% of the mentally challenged people who are getting some sort of training or care, which basically means that 90% of people are still in the community without any care, without any help. So we have to design our method that how do we reach to those 95% of people. Either we create so many institutes or we provide some care in the community. These days even the World Health Organization, the ICMR, they are thinking of the community based activities. That is another difficult thing we have to face. And these people need a sort of a supervised type of setting where they are supervised by someone who can look after them. So these are some of the difficulties we are facing in the rehabilitation of the mentally retarded person. Provided that they are given training, these people are capable of carrying out, doing a lot of jobs. And the jobs which are very simple, they are repetitive. That means it's the same job which is done time and again. They are very good in that. In fact, they are perfect. And let me tell you that the outcome, the production of these type of job will be much more by the mentally retarded person, because there are no chances of distraction. They will not spend their time in gossiping, in treating their friends, or sort of smoking, spending time for non-productive activities. Once they are put in job, they will be doing their work. So it's basically the job which is very simple, which is very repetitive, so they are fit for that. And like they are fit for any attendant in an office, maid servants, ayahs, even the painters, like even the working in the dairy farming, like as a milkman, as a waiter. So a lot of these jobs which are very, even a lift operator, even the running a PC or STD booth, sitting on the receptions. So a lot of these jobs which are repetitive can be very well handled by these mentally challenged person. Like they can be even tailors. We in the institute we have 4 or 5 sections where the children are working as a tailor, and most of the curtains in the institute have been stitched by the mentally retarded persons. They do excellent embroidery work. They can be involved in the binding of books, and all the books of the medical college, the journals are being handled by us here, and this job is done very well, and the quality of work is the better than what we used to get from the market. So provided the opportunity, these children can be made totally independent. While sort of planning this institute, there were certain priorities for us, looking the various difficulties in the care of the mentally challenged person. The first priority for us was because we lacked the trained manpower. If you look around and see whether do we have trained manpower, initially we had a lot of difficulties in getting the trained manpower. So that was the priority number 1 for this institute, that the human resource development should be the important component. So we have 3 courses running in the institute, and these people, once they pass out, so sort of will fill up that vacuum in the limited manpower for the mentally retarded person. Then other difficulty is the vocational training. In whole of the North India, there is hardly any vocational institute where the children can be trained, because they need sort of a different setting than the normal persons. So again, the emphasis of this institute has been on vocational training. Then another important is the job placement. Once you train them, they must be placed, they must be made independent. And this institute has been able to at least employ 20 children in last 1 year. And majority of these 20 children, they are running juice bars, kiosks, STD, PCO booths in Chandigarh. There are about 6 places where they are working, and they are getting their monthly salary out of that earning there. The other is prevention, because large number of the causes for mental retardation are preventable, but the community lacks the knowledge that how these causes can be prevented. So the other priority is that we should go to the community, educate people, and tell them that how the mental retardation can be prevented. After we know that, okay, despite all the efforts, there will be mentally retarded children, the other difficulty we were facing, that they were reaching to us at the age of 10 years, 12 years. That was too late, and by that time it was very difficult to sort of do any intervention techniques. So now we have started an early intervention sections, and each Wednesday we are running a early intervention clinic where we have all the specialists sitting together. And let me tell you that we started getting children who are just 1 year old, and these parents are the one who had a doubt, and they came to the clinic. The child was assessed in detail, and the intervention technique was started. And already we have 44 children enrolled in the early intervention clinic who are less than 5 years, 4 years of age. Then there are a lot of families, as I said you, who are not getting any care, and they have their own limitations. They have been offered to come to the institute, but because of their own problem, they never reach to us. So we started reaching to them. We have a home-based team who goes from this institute in the morning and attends to 4 or 5 families in their houses, train the parents to educate what should be done at the level of the parents. And we already reached to 88 families in Chandigarh. So that was another priority. The major, if you talk to the parents of the children, the most disturbing thought which comes to their mind is that who will look after the children after their death? That was the most haunting thought they keep on getting. There is an act called the National Trust Act. This act has provided some relief, and I think this is the most important achievement in the recent past in the area of the mental retardation, because this act has provided a relief to the parents. Now there is a trust, and this trust will look after the children once the parent become the member of that trust. The government of India has already given 100 crore for that trust, and this money has been invested, and out of that investment the families, the parents are being helped. And this trust will look after the children even after their death. That means each state is going to have the home, the respite care centers where the children will be looked after by the trust. So this education must go to the community, that now there is somebody at the level of the government of India, state government, where they can look at that, yes, somebody is there to sort of help them out. I'd like to request all the parents who has such a child in their family, they must accept this child, and let's not deny that this child is mentally retarded, because this denial gets the sort of lot of delay in seeking help. And it has been seen that children who come to us at an early age, they become more independent, their speech develops very well, and they become more productive. So this child must reach to us as early as possible. Once we keep on denying it and keep on sort of going here and there, it delays the whole process. That is the advice number 1 we must sort of pass on to the parents, and I'll request all of them to sort of listen to my request. The second is that the parents must understand that it is not their fault that the child has taken birth in their family. It is not the fault of the child. So none of them is at fault. This is something the God has given. Maybe the God is trying to test their patience, test their ability, and they must accept it. And the third thing, it is basically a sort of some special person in your family who needs to be worshipped, and if you love this person, love this child, provide him care, provide him protector, I'll say that this is sort of worship to the God, because maybe this is being sent by the God as his own avatar. And the fourth thing, they must see that, make arrangement that when they are not there anymore, they do not survive, there will be someone to look after that. For that, there is a trust called National Trust. They must become the member of the National Trust and must invest something in the name of the child, because even after their death, the government, this institute can provide a person as a guardian, and this guardian will look after the property, will look after the finance part, and out of that earning, the child will be provided care. So the parents, most of the parents, they feel that there is no need of investing anything in the name of the child, but which is wrong. In fact, these are the children who need more financial security as compared to a normal person, because normal person will grow up and will get a job and will become independent. But for them, we must make investments, we must plan for their futures. So these were some things I thought the parents must know. Causes of mental retardation, we can divide them into the prenatal, basically means that when the child is in the mother's abdomen, there the causes could be that either the mother did not get the balanced diet, that is the nutritional causes. The other mother took certain medicines which were harmful during the pregnancy. That's why we advise all mothers that avoid all medications at least in the first trimester, the first 3 months of pregnancy. Or sometime because of the illness, mother got a lot of x-rays, so overexposure to the x-rays can damage the child when the child is developing inside. The other causes at that time, mother got some trauma, abdominal trauma, she fell down, or she was a laborer, so the child sustained some injury at that time. Or it was a wrong presentation, like we have the breech presentation, bacha ulta hai, so those type of thing, the presentation was not right. So these are certain causes, we say the prenatal, when the child is still developing. But then the most important cause is during the delivery itself, the natal causes, because still in India, majority of the deliveries are still conducted by the untrained dai. Though the government of India did some effort in that these dais were trained, so we call them trained dai, but still they're not as trained as we expect them. So during pregnancy, the child might get some trauma, or because of certain the secretion inside the tracheal tube, where from where the respiration comes, was blocked, and the secretions were not properly cleaned, and the child did not breathe properly, and became blue, cyanose, and this child will have the injury to the brain. So that becomes an important cause of the damaged brain, and this will lead to the mental retardations. Then even just after the birth, because of the inadequate handling, this child might suffer lack of oxygens, or the child might develop the jaundice, where the bilirubin goes up, and this increased bilirubin can damage the brain. Or the child gets some infection because of the inadequate facilities we have in the setup, and child might develop vomiting, diarrhea. It might lead to dehydration, and dehydration, there will be less blood vessels, and there will be less blood supply to the brain, and that can damage the brain also. During pregnancy, there are these facilities where we can diagnose certain genetic abnormality by certain tests. This is being done in the genetic lab, which we are in the process of setting up in this institute. So there we can diagnose and at least offer sort of to the parents whether they like to continue with this pregnancy, or they like to get a medical terminus of this pregnancy, where the chances are there that child might be the mentally retarded. But let me tell you that if you look at the total causes of mental retardation, the 80% of these causes are treatable. That means we have, as a professionals, a very important role to sort of pass on to the community that how can they stop the mental retardations. I think the education awareness of the community is a very important tool. Somehow that message is still not going to the community, that they have a very important role in the prevention of mental retardation.
Before I tell you something about the Sadhana Institute, I must introduce you to the society itself. Sadhana Society is the organization of parents of mentally handicapped children. Registered in 1995, the society has been active in creating awareness among the society and the parents at large in the field of training and education and rights of the mentally challenged. Occurrence of a shocking incident makes one pass through 3 stages of life. Non-acceptance of the incident, then the acceptance of it, and then the stage comes, final stage comes, where the feeling of compassion arises from one's own misery. One can better understand the difficulties of others when one passes through the same experience, as it's said that only the wearer knows where the shoe pinches. So that is what is true of Sadhana Society. Our own children, the incident of giving birth to the mentally handicapped, our own this experience gave birth to this institution. Feeling the scarcity of infrastructure and facilities in the city beautiful of Chandigarh, where a population of 13,000 people lies, a group of people, those are handicapped. The parents resolved to create the infrastructure and facilities at their own with the motto of self-help is the best help, and started efforts towards this mission. And ultimately in 2001 we got, luckily, this place, this building from the administration on rent for the purpose. 2 years back we started with 15 days camp just for the experience sake, but the camp was such a success that we never stopped. We continued with the training and education of the children, formally admitting the children. So far we have enrolled 30 children in our institute. We have segregated these children into 3 groups according to their IQ levels and age group levels. Apart from the basic education, we train them in self-help skills. We give them vocational training in computer, photostat, wax crayons making, sports, music, dance, yoga are the part of daily activities. We try them to give best exposure in the society at large by the maximum participation in cultural activities and sports, and they have got several awards in this field. We have got physiotherapy section and speech therapy section with us, and a well-qualified staff of that includes physiotherapist, speech therapist, yoga and dance teacher, special educator, apart from the other assisting staff. Apart from this, few of us parents, they visit the institution daily, give their views, their personal experiences, and we learn a lot from that, because I feel that parents are the best teachers for these children. We have a kitchen cum dining hall where we give the children training in eating habits, eating etiquettes, washing their utensils, and they celebrate their birthdays with great pomp and show there. Our ultimate aim is to make these children stand on their own feet, socially and economically. And we are very hopeful that one day our children will be really successful and they will start flying in the skies, the heights of the sky, and say, "Goodbye, ma'am, now we can fly at our own and we'll be totally successful at that moment. I'm sure it will happen. Maybe it is only 1 or 2 children out of 100, but it will certainly happen. So far, we are running this institute at our own, contributing among ourselves, meeting an expenditure of 50,000 rupees per month, but with the assistance of government agencies, we want to serve more and more children, to reach those children who are never exposed to the society or any institutions. I hope society and government will really assist us in our mission. You're asking me about the first experience when I came to know the truth that I have given birth to a mentally handicapped child. Although I don't want to make that moment of my life the part of my memory, I have to go far behind 13 years, far behind that moment when in PGI I came to know of this bitter reality that I have given birth to a mentally handicapped daughter. As if a darkness surrounded me and life had come to an end. Everything finished, all the dreams were shattered for me. Excuse me, I'm getting a little emotional about it.
It's okay, it's part of it.
But I did not let this feeling overpower me for a long time. Gradually, I pushed myself out of it. By and by, or say suddenly, one day, the idea came to me, why this child came to me. There must be some specific mission of the God who has sent this very special gift to me. Probably I was a selected parent. God had thought that this is the right parent who can take care of this special gift. And it seemed the child was a messenger of God for me to serve many other children like hers. First I used to think that I should, as there was a very lack of facility in our city, Chandigarh, I used to think that we should shift our business somewhere else, abroad or Bombay, etc., where we can get better facilities for the child. But then the idea came, probably this child came to me so that I can serve many other children like this. Why can't we create facilities here? There are many parents like me who cannot leave this city like me. So my life was changed totally. I got a specific mission in life that I have to create facilities in Chandigarh for these children. Now the child, my daughter, no more it was a curse for me, rather I thought it's a blessing for me, who has given a certain direction to my life, a certain aim to my life to serve the mentally challenged like hers. Here I would like to share this change of my life in this couplet से हमें ये लगता था कि मौत ही आ जाए, जिंदगी है तो क्यों है, लेकिन अब लगता है करने को बहुत कुछ बाकी है अभी, जिंदगी तो इतनी छोटी क्यों है.
I think I like to speak on this subject, how the parents come across this kind of. To my mind, there are 3 stages the parents come across. The very first stage is when the child is born. When the child is born, They are not finding a way how to accept the brute reality that the child is their mental retarded child. It takes a hell of a time to really accept them, their child is a retarded child. By they come to terms with the things, and they feel what the work of fate has done to them, they do not know where to go. And they do not find, they grow up in dark. When my child was born, say 18 years back, in Chandigarh itself, there was no institution where I could go to seek any kind of a help. And to my mind, the third stage which comes, which people are not in, I am that stage, I'll speak from that, my personal experience. That who's going to look after them when we are not? I'll speak from my own experience that I have two sons. One is now major in the army. Until he was not married, he used to look after his child very well. Even sometime he'll come back on a training. From when he was an NDA, he would come back from training, even from on Chutti when he used to come. He used to look after the child very well. And after marriage, the things have totally changed. Probably they don't want to accept the child. That's what I feel so. And this what has prompted us. We should do something for these children. And we expect the government agency as a whole to come forward to make some kind of institution where we can leave the children in the care when we are not there. I think that is the biggest problem faced by the parents, not like me, many parents. This problem, today it is problem is mine, tomorrow it's probably going to be others. I think the parents should, if they can, come of their own, but it's not so easy for them. For that reason, some kind of institution in this part of the country, in this area, should come up with the help of the government, so where the children can be kept or can be left when the parents are not there. Though our total endeavor is that the children should be socially acceptable, and through our institutions, other institutions, we are able to create the awakening among the people. But I find, still we have failed somewhere. Though we've been able to do a little bit work in it. In my case, I think I have not been able to master the sport my own son. And this could be because lack of sensitivity in the other partner, could be. I don't blame anybody. Everybody tries to live their life their own. But as the things goes by. So in that eventuality, I just want to leave an open message that there should be some discussion on this subject. Was as a right of inheritance when we have created it. Some time back when we go, the ladies were not given the rights of property in the property of parents. And the right came, took long time to came into being. But what I perceive now, the situation should be, or I kind of find some kind of mechanism should be developed. While settling the assets for the siblings or for the others, there should be some kind of mechanism, or there should be some kind of a deterrent, or should be created. So if in the way the right of inheritance takes place, the rights of assets and liability should be also taken care. I'm of the opinion, I leave an open question to the society as a whole, and there should be the discussion on this subject. That when you have the right to inheritance, there should be some kind of mechanism that the the liability of these children should be taken care of it. Until because in most of the cases, the case of a mentally retarded child has to go to the other sibling of it. When he is entitled to the share of that man, I think he should be entitled to the liability of that. He should inherit the entitlement, liability of that other person also. So that's one of my point of view. Though it's an open debate, I don't want to trust the right of anybody. Everybody is at liberty. But a social bond should be created. And this can be only created if little bit law is little bit takes course in this kind of field.
88 में जब दो जुड़वा बच्चों की माँ बनी, बहुत अच्छा लगा कि एक टाइम में ईश्वर ने दो गिफ्ट मेरे को दी, बेटा बेटी इकट्ठे। बहुत खुश थी, पाला गया उनको 6-7 महीने तक। दो बच्चों में कंपैरिजन हुआ तो बेटा मेरे को लगा जैसे कि वो उतना रिस्पांस उसका नहीं है जितना एक नॉर्मल बच्चे का होना चाहिए। डॉक्टर से बात की, मजाक करते थे कि शायद एक इंडियन माँ की तरह आप सोचती हैं, आपको बेटे की ज़्यादा चिंता है, बेटी की नहीं। आफ्टर ऑल डॉक्टर्स को भी लगा कि हाँ कुछ गलत है इसमें। उन्होंने रेफ़र किया मेरे को ऑल इंडिया, जेनेटिक टेस्ट कराए एंड दे डिक्लेयर्ड ही इज़ अ डाउन सिंड्रोम चाइल्ड। और बड़ा रूड और बड़ा फ्लैटली उन्होंने मेरे से, जो वहाँ के जूनियर डॉक्टर्स थे, उन्होंने मुझसे बात की। बड़ा रूडली उन्होंने कहा कि ये होपलेस केस है, दूसरा पैदा कर लीजिए, इसमें जान नहीं है। मतलब कहने का उनका ढंग था। आई शाउटेड, बहुत शाउट किया कि आपको अगर ये बात कहनी थी तो थोड़ा रिफाइंड वे में आप मेरे को समझा सकते थे या और तरीके से कह सकते थे। एक छोटी सी उम्मीद मेरे को उस बच्चे में नज़र आ रही थी कि वो गर्दन संभालने वाला बच्चा था। मुझे लगा कि ये बच्चा मेरा बैठ सकता है। एक चैलेंज की तरह उसको एक्सेप्ट किया और मैंने एम्स इस चीज़ को चैलेंज किया था उनको कि एक दिन इस बच्चे को मैं चला के आपके पास लेके आऊँगी। आपने आज जो व्यवहार, और मैं समझती हूँ उनका वो रूड बिहेवियर जिसको मैंने चैलेंज के रूप में एक्सेप्ट किया, मेरे लिए वरदान बन गया। बहुत मेहनत करी। मेरे ख्याल से एक बहुत तकलीफ़ दे होता है जब आप दो बच्चों में से एक बच्चा आपका रुन-झुन करके चलता है और दूसरा बच्चा आपका बिस्तर पे पड़ा हुआ है। मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा था कि इस बच्चे की, जो दूसरा बच्चा मेरा नॉर्मल है, मैं उसके लिए खुश हूँ, उसकी हर एक्टिविटी। एक माँ बहुत खुश होती है जब उसका बच्चा पहला कदम रखता है, बहुत खुशी होती है जब वो पहली बार स्कूल जाता है, या बहुत खुशी होती है जब वो पहली बार आपसे बात करता है। एक अजीब सी सिचुएशन मेरे सामने थी कि मैं एक नॉर्मल बच्चे की हर पहली चीज़ पर खुश हूँ, या जो बच्चा उसका मुकाबला नहीं कर पा रहा, इतना पिछड़ गया है, उसके लिए मैं दुखी हूँ। धीरे धीरे कहीं ना कहीं हम लोगों को लगा कि एक जिस बच्चे ने नॉर्मल इस धरती पे जन्म लिया है, हमें कोशिश करनी है कि हमें उसकी खुशी में खुश होना है। और फिर मेरे एक बुज़ुर्ग जिन्होंने मुझे कहा कि आपको ईश्वर ने इतनी सारी खुशियाँ दी हैं, उनको आपने बहुत इज्जत के साथ जिया, तो क्यों नहीं आप इसके दिए हुए एक दुख को भी उतनी ही रिस्पेक्ट देती जितनी आप उसके दिए हुए सुखों को देती हैं। उसके बाद आप बहुत पढ़े लिखे, क्वालिफ़िकेशन बहुत ली, सोचा था बहुत कुछ करने के लिए, एक नया फील्ड, एक नया सितारा खुद को बनाने के लिए। वो सब चीज़ तो आपकी चेंज हो गई, या आपकी डायरेक्शन बिल्कुल बदल गई, दिशा आपकी कहाँ जाना था, आप कहाँ अपने आप को राइज़ करने की फिराक में लगे हुए थे, और हुआ ये कि आप एक दूसरे बच्चे की ज़िंदगी संवारने में आपने लग गए। उसके बाद वही एक पूरी कठिनाइयाँ हैं जिनको एक तरह से गुरु बनाया, अंधेरे थे जिन्होंने हमें राहें दिखाई, उसके बाद गगन के सितारे भी लगता था जैसे अब वो हमें कह रहे हैं, इंस्पायर कर रहे हैं कि चलते रहो। एक लाइफ की शुरुआत हुई, किसी ने कहा मंदिर जाओ, मंदिर से गुरुद्वारे जाओ, चर्च जाओ, पीर बाबा जाओ, झाड़ फूंक जाओ। मुझे नहीं लगता वहाँ से कुछ भी मिल पाया, कुछ एक अंश भी वहाँ से मैं नहीं लेके आई, शायद कुछ दुआओं के साथ जो उन्होंने वहाँ प्रीस्ट लोगों के पैर छुए, इसके अलावा। फिर वही कृष्ण की थ्योरी मेरे को समझ आई कि कर्म का दामन थाम और समंदर पार कर जा, और शायद वही एक भावना है जो इस इंस्टीट्यूशन का जन्म हुआ। हम सभी एक भावना के से जुड़े हुए लोग इस इंस्टीट्यूशन की छत के नीचे हम लोग इकट्ठे हुए और एक टीम भावना के साथ हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर। उसके बाद दूसरी चीज़ है कि एम्बैरेसमेंट या आपकी आइसोलेशन। मैं समझती हूँ दुख इस बात का नहीं होता कि आपके साथ ये घटना हो गई, दुख और तकलीफ आपको होती है अपने बच्चे को दुखी देखकर। प्रॉब्लम आती है वहाँ कि जब आपका बच्चा wants to say something with you, he wants to something so many things with me, लेकिन वो नहीं बोल पाता। उसके बाद जो इस तरीके से वो रोता है अपनी चीज़ को एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर पाने की वजह से, वो बहुत ज़्यादा तकलीफदेह हो जाता है मेरे लिए। मतलब मैंने इसको एक दुर्घटना के रूप में ना लेकर, ये दुर्घटना मैं नहीं मानती कि ये कोई एक दुर्घटना मेरे साथ हुई है। मैं समझती हूँ ये एक इंडिकेशन है। शायद मिलित घर में आया तो उसने इंडिकेट किया कि मेरे जैसे बहुत सारे मिलित हैं, मेरे जैसे माँ को प्यार करने वाले बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं। अगर आप हाथ फैलाओगे तो आपको बहुत, आप दुनिया की उस माँ से हैं जिसको धरती पर शायद सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट पर्सन हूँ मैं। वो बच्चा शायद मेरे को अपने आप को बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट देता है, शायद धरती पर मुझे और कोई दूसरा ना दे इतना प्यार। उसके बाद हम लोगों का यहाँ पे एक सफ़र जो शुरू हुआ, बहुत मेहनत, योगा से बच्चियों को चलाना, आज भी उसकी स्पीच के लिए हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं। सेल्फ इंजूरियस बिहेवियर, तरह तरह की प्रॉब्लम्स हर बच्चे के साथ हैं। अब मैं अपना ही बच्चा लूँ, अगर सेल्फ इंजूरियस बिहेवियर है, हिट्स हिमसेल्फ, जब नहीं बोलेगा तो हिट करता है खुद को। बहुत तकलीफ़ हो जाती है जिस टाइम मैं फ़र्श पे बिखरा हुआ खून देखती हूँ, या उतना उसके फास्ट एक्शंस होते हैं कि आप उनको कंट्रोल नहीं कर पाते थोड़ी देर के लिए। तकलीफ़ होती है वहाँ। मुझे बच्चे के होने का दुख नहीं है, बच्चे को दुखी देखती हूँ तो फील होता है कि हाँ ये कुछ गलत हुआ है, इसको दुखी नहीं होना चाहिए था। ऑप्टिमिस्ट हूँ, आई एम नॉट पैसिमिस्ट, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं फ्यूचर के बारे में अगर इन बच्चों का हम देखें तो एक इनसिक्योरिटी ज़रूर हम लोगों के दिमाग में आ जाती है कि जितना प्यार और जितना अफेक्शन हम लोग इनको दे रहे हैं, क्योंकि इनको हमने जन्म दिया है, हमारी ड्यूटी है और हमारे पास वक्त है। आने वाले टाइम में इनके ब्रदर सिस्टर्स इनको उतना वक्त दे पाएंगे या नहीं, आने वाले टाइम में जिन परिवारों के साथ वो बच्चे जुड़ेंगे वो उसको एक्सेप्ट करेंगे या नहीं। एक तरह की इनसिक्योरिटी ज़रूर है, और मैं फिर कहूँगी कि आशावादी हूँ, लेकिन फिर भी हम उन बदनसीब पेरेंट्स में से हैं जो अपने बच्चों से ज़्यादा अपनी उम्र हम मांगते हैं कि अपने ही सामने हम इन बच्चों की ज़िंदगी को पूरा कर जाएं तो ज़्यादा अच्छा होगा, ताकि ये बच्चे दूसरों के ऊपर बोझ ना बने, या जितना ज़्यादा प्यार और अफेक्शन के साथ हम इनको यहाँ से विदा करें, और एक अच्छी शांति का जो अंतिम हमारा यात्रा है या अंतिम नींद है हम लोग, वो हमारी शांति से होनी चाहिए। ईश्वर से हम लोग प्रार्थना करते हैं। उसके बाद पेरेंट्स को मैं कहूँगी कि जितना जल्दी हो सके आप एक्सेप्ट करिए इसको कि आपका बच्चा मेंटली रिटार्डेड है या मेंटली चैलेंज्ड है। मत सोचिए कि सोसाइटी में आपको ले जाने में किसी तरह की तकलीफ़ होती है, लोग इसको घूरते हैं या लोग इसको कुछ कहते हैं। समाज में इसको आपको अपने आगे रखना पड़ेगा। आप समझते हैं, किसी भी, चाहे आप नॉर्मल इंसान ले लें, समाज में उसी पर्सन को इज्जत मिलती है जिसको घर से मिली होती है। घर से टूटा पत्ता कभी भी सोसाइटी में अपने लिए जगह नहीं बना पाता। अगर हमें समाज में इन बच्चों को सोसाइटी में जगह दिलानी है तो हमें इन बच्चों को अपनी पीठ के पीछे न रख के अपने दिल के आगे रखना पड़ेगा, और इनकी पीठ के पीछे खड़े होकर हमें इनको मॉरल सपोर्ट या हर तरह की सपोर्ट इनको देनी पड़ेगी। जो समाज हमें एक्सेप्ट करता है, मैं समझती हूँ उसको पहले हमारे बच्चे को एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ेगा। सभी पेरेंट्स से मेरी यही गुजारिश है कि बच्चों को पीछे ना करो, अपने बच्चे आगे ले आओ, मजबूर करो लोगों के लिए। सोसाइटी से कहती हूँ अगर आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते इन बच्चों के लिए मेहरबानी करके इनको घूरना बंद करिए। तरह तरह के क्वेश्चंस जो आप पेरेंट्स से करके उनको दुखी करते हैं वो करना बंद कर दीजिए।